I just very quickly wanted to make a video, a documentation. Someone's said to me, "You're not ill, you're iller." I'm iller. The people I went to for help, to help with trauma, socially engineered to use trauma-based mind control and all that rubbish. It's all socially engineered, all this. So, yeah, I've been asleep most of today. Just iller. And, yeah, so I want to point something out. It's really important. I have to be very careful because obviously you've got to be very careful with this level of stress, because this is how people get a stroke, dementia, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, anything perpetuated by stress, which is why the social worker landlord said to me I knew too much and that I might want to check that I haven't inherited my mother's cancer. But I'm going to die telling the truth. That's the beauty of this. I'm going to go out of this world with, there's no what's it on my you know what. There are no flies on my what's it, because I'm so brutally honest, which is why this has been done to me. Honesty is the best policy, but it might kill you. You might be targeted. But yeah, so this is what I want. The reason why I'm making this quick video is just to say that this was the same dressing gown I was wearing when I was locked out and forced to walk the streets. It has just occurred to me that Sally Fisher of the temporary accommodation team at Eastbourne Borough Council, who had emailed me. This is why I've got to keep up with what these vindictive people are doing to people like me. They're doing it, I've known this for years, they've been doing this to people who suffer with mental health. Anyone who's vulnerable. If you're extremely vulnerable, you're targeted. It's very simple. And of course they don't like me because I'm honest. And these evildoers who come in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach or Jesus Christ, yeah, they're doing their best. So it's like, so this Sally Fisher from the temporary accommodation team, who told one of the proprietors of this property, allegedly saying I'm a good person, but I had let her know that she was liable for any loss, theft, damages, and she put my life in danger at Belmore Road and all that nonsense. Well, she had emailed me a few months ago to say, you've got a month to take your things from SDR Living or we'll dispose of them. And they've done a U-turn, and the storage place has told my partner that Eastbourne Borough Council are now paying for the storage. So that's an admission of their crimes. Now, I nearly forgot this, and it's really important that I say this as part of my documentation, because you could not make this SH1T up. When we were at the hotel in Brighton, because obviously they were raking it in for the tennis in Eastbourne, all the budget hotels were £200 plus per night, just for the tennis. They rake it in. So we had to go all the way to Brighton with all these bags and crap. And as I said, I have absolutely no money. I've had no money. I've had no money because my partner's had to borrow money from his father to help me out. And unless you have the brains to understand what a disability is, when it comes just to mental health, then you're not going to understand anything. And all the ins and outs of all of this. But they used my partner as a pawn and a scapegoat. They used his flat, illegally used his flat. My partner's flat. It's got nothing to do with me. It's for him. It's registered just for him, no one else. And it's a tiny flat and it's been used. It's being used. He's used it. It's like a tiny warehouse. So he's borrowed money from his father. So to get £15 to get me to Hellingly for one night and then here. Initially, they had offered, would you believe this? They offered SDR Living, this Louise in Cornwall, which is where the emergency accommodation for Eastbourne Borough Council, their call centre is in Cornwall. And that same Louise hung up on me a few months ago because they wanted to send me to Kent at 11 o'clock at night. A vulnerable woman. You know, the UK is the hub for human trafficking, and the council, they do this coercive, and I have had public servants brutally force me out of a flat that my GP practice got me into after just 4 months. This care coordinator was sacked, and she'd said to me, you can have it as long as you need it. You're very welcome. And then very suspiciously, she's sacked because this is what happens. They change jobs. Jackie Lake, the ward manageress of the psychiatric unit, she very quickly moved on to pastures anew, didn't she? Don't forget, Caroline Ansell, my local MP, gave my partner a caring role through Care for the Carers. Then they banned him from visiting me because he was concerned about their abuse of me. And Councillor Robin Maxted was aware of this because Councillor Robin Maxted met me and my partner in his flat. I'm sick of this. You've all showed yourselves up for what's really going on in your head and your hearts. You've really showed yourselves up. The fact that you are you're so sly that you even know about my YouTube channel. So you get your demented psychopath minions, these totalitarian thugs called the police, to come out and drag me out of my own home when I have news of my father's death and I'm reporting crimes. You know what? As I said, I'll repetition for emphasis. My grandmother lived through 2 world wars. She was a teacher. She's the reason I've kept going as long as I have. My adoptive, beautiful grandmother. And I had an older mother as well. And I just would not be here. I would not be here. And they're using my abilities because they know I've got abilities. They've told me they know I've got abilities. So to some extent, I can relate to someone like Rachel Caruso. So anyway, I wish there were more people talking about this sort of thing because I don't hear about it. But anyway, you meet people in these places. John Alexander Patterson, who was put in the psychiatric unit on a mental health fraud, because he went to Scotland Yard with legalese documents to do with baby organ harvesting, and the Ministry of Defence shoved him in there. We met victims of satanic ritual abuse in there, and the Freemasons had put them in there. And I met a victim of some very serious satanic human trafficking. So yeah, as John Patterson said, you do meet interesting people in there. And I was under the impression that I'd just get a little bit of support in the community. Just a little bit of support for my mother's rare cancer. No, of course not. Of course not. It's all about fear and control. Fear and control. Fear and control. But it's just, I mean, you know, they want to see me lose it. Which is why these trolls have been making these comments. And I don't care who you are, or what your connections are, or if you're a complete and utter nobody. You're a psychopath. You're a loner. I haven't had troll comments, and I haven't had anonymous calls. Interestingly, even though I've said, oh, please bring it on, I'm getting legal help now, bring it on. No. And if you do troll me, which I haven't had, as I said, I haven't had any trolling or anonymous calls since I've been getting this legal aid, because you know your time is up. It doesn't matter who you are. Your time is up. If you're a complete nobody who needs to get a life and you've got nothing better to do and you're trolling, even your time is up. Even if you're making out that you're trying to help someone vulnerable, you're being monitored. Your time is up. So I just thought it was just kind of amusing somewhat that I could put all of this into an email, because I'm going to do a send to all. And there's going to be no way out for any of you. No way out for any of you. So, yeah, the fact that SDR Living was offered to me, and then Louise got back to me and said they won't have you back. Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? SDR Living is the very place that I was in 7 years ago. They rebadged it. Let's talk about polishing a turd. Look at the website for SDR Living. It's lovely. There's a kingfisher. There's a waterfall right up my alley. I love nature. I was there 7 years ago, and the same demented people still work there. The same guy they ignored the online petition from the food bank saying stop bullying the vulnerable and the disabled, and they're still doing it. I reported crimes, my father's death. I got beatings and bruises all over my body. The paramedics had to look at my hands on a world famous suicide spot, a reaction to my father's death. Why? Because I get suicidal. Because it's a terrible crime to be suicidal. No, it's not. They want you to suicide. It used to be against the law to suicide. I just think it's funny how Beachy Head is strategically placed in a town that's got one of the worst, most corrupt councils in the UK. You know, after just 4 months, I'm dragged out of my home, and then a few months later, you're trying to offer me that same, because I'm getting legal help. You're offering that same placement to me as an emergency placement with legal help. You've just taken that flat from me, that self-contained flat. And now I'm getting legal help. You offer it as an emergency placement. I'm meant to have been housed ages ago. Oh, And just to save face, just, you know, a kick in the teeth would be better. They won't have you back. Well, I don't want to go back in there because they've just brutally... You couldn't make it up. They gave me a brand new flat. They were literally just putting down brand new carpets when they put me in there. Everything was brand new. And then I report crimes. I'm distressed at my father's death, which I still don't know how he died 18 months ago. And the staff that are meant to be trained 24/7 to deal with complex needs are as demented. They're all demented. The police are demented. The council are demented. Everyone's demented. It's just sheer, utter chaos. There is no system. I've had the number of public servants I have seen crying. There is no system. I've seen the tears in their eyes. Yet they're standing back and allowing their own people to be dragged around in handcuffs, and they're not laying a finger on actual dangerous criminals that have come out of prison and that are attacking us in our own council accommodations. It's amazing how you only have to start speaking a few words of truth and all of a sudden all of Eastbourne Borough Council knows about my YouTube channel. So yeah, anyway, I'll finish on that note. It's really important that I mention that because I forgot to document that. That's really important. The fact that Louise in Cornwall, the call centre for Eastbourne Borough Council's emergency housing, was re-offering the same place to me that PC Ford dragged me out of, and I might just put a link to the video where I said that PC Ford was banging on Eben's door at nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. This is my partner's friend's flat, Eben, and Eben's a lawyer. So Eben, if you're watching, because Eben, she's been abusing me. She wrote me a letter threatening to dispose of my things and left it at SDR Living for me. So what was that all about, Eben? You know, your late father was apparently a top lawyer in Nigeria. So why the hell are you doing this to me? Because I've got a paralegal who's concerned about my partner's abuse of me in your flat where he was arrested. And I put the recordings on YouTube of DC Kamar of Eastbourne CID, who's left that department and now a sergeant. Like, what's the point of that? And he said he was going to look into domestic abuse. And the care coordinator, who was meant to come and get my things from your flat, has been sacked. And she, Karen of Southdown, worked for my GP practice, the Lighthouse practice. I've been all day, I have been shaken up, traumatised. I don't know how my father died. You can't get anyone to do anything anymore. You can't get anyone to show compassion, let alone lift a tiny finger. This is why this country has got a terrible reputation. It's just all this tiny island is it's got a corrupt criminal system. It's the hub of human trafficking. It's a teeny tiny island, and people want to get off it. Whilst all the dangerous criminal illegals are coming in, people like my late mother wanted to stay at sea because of all of this. But then I could never have imagined in a million years that everything that's happened to me in the last 7 years could actually ever happen. But it has. And Sally Fisher of the TA team, you really did a U-turn, didn't you, from threatening me in an email saying, we'll pay for up to a month's storage. and then we're going to dispose of your things. And my partner chased up what you did with my things. And I'm worried about my gold heirloom ring, which is a 21st birthday present from my late mother. It's over 100 years old. You are liable for loss and damages. So what have you decided to do? You've decided to pay for that storage for me. Because you already know that I pay Eastbourne Borough Council for storage. Whilst you were illegally making me street homeless. And putting me in god-awful places where I had bed bugs crawling on me, where I was attacked. Now I've got this nonsense going on. Anyway, I'm going to end the video on that note. Keep it short.